So here's the problem. I walk into a store looking for one record and walk out with 15. How did that happen? Now I'm sitting on a pile of records I really want to absorb, but there's just not enough time. I don't feel guilty about buying them, but I feel a tinge of guilt about not listening to them right.
Giant orange records.
Welcome to episode 2 of the guilt-free vinyl experiment. Today I'm talking about what happens when I go digging in store and leave with a stack. Today I've got all my June and July in-store pickups. Some of these are definite keepers, and others I'm still on the fence about. Let me walk you through the stack. All I want is the perfect camera. It doesn't exist. So, first stop on this record collecting journey, we're going to go to Soulmates Music in West Palm Beach. They made me a wonderful espresso with a fancy espresso machine. They moved into a new location since I went there in June 2024. Maybe it was July 24. It's been about a year. So, first find there was the Hobbits Down to Middle Earth. I think this thing came out in 1967. It's obviously a psychedelic record. It's kind of on the folky side. Got a little bit of that Burt Bacharach kind of thing going on. And I remember Vinyl Richie from the vinyl community sang this one's praises, and he's got pretty good taste. So shout out to Vinyl Richie for hipping me to this one. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. First impression is it wasn't my favorite record ever, but I probably need to give it a few more spins. This one's definitely a keeper. This is a 1971 pressing of Miles Davis in a Silent Way, which came out in 1969. And my thoughts on this record is it kind of gets into his electric era, but it's a lot more accessible than Bitches Brew, which is an incredibly long record and kind of atonal, kind of hard to listen to, whereas this one is pretty enjoyable and pretty digestible. More jazz. Kenny Burrell and Jimmy Smith. These are two of my favorite jazz dudes. Kenny Burrell is just a kick-ass guitar player. He's more bluesy than jazzy, and Jimmy Smith is like the Hammond B3 master of jazz. This one is on Verve Records. Definitely a keeper. Harvey Mandel, Cristo Redentor. I think this one's from 1969. He played in bands like Canned Heat and with a few other guys. First impression was this one's a little bit weird. I kind of like a little bit weird, but I'll have to give this one another spin too. It's highly regarded among collectors, so there's that. Oh, and the Vapors, New Clear Days, like weird kind of weatherman, sort of like, watch TV, They Live kind of vibes from the cover. I was riding in a friend of mine's car a while ago, and he played this record for me, and or it was on, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like power poppy, new wavy kind of stuff. Pretty cool record. Need to give it another listen. Even though maybe Turning Japanese is a song that perhaps hasn't aged that well, the rest of the record is pretty fun. Jefferson Airplane Takes Off. This is their first album. It's full of like 12-string folk rock guitars and all that good stuff. What surprised me the most about this one is reading the credits is that Skip Spence was their drummer here. Skip Spence went on to be part of Moby Grape. Grape. Their first album is a psychedelic San Fran classic. And the lead singer on some of the songs here is Signe Anderson. So this predates Grace Slick, who's the way more famous singer of Jefferson Airplane. And I learned that this is the censored version. They left a couple of songs off, and like, what did the authorities have to censor in 1966? Were rock bands really corrupting the minds of the youth back then? Well, I guess so. And Donovan's Mellow Yellow. This is a mono copy, super mellow man. It has 3 of my favorite Donovan songs on it, which are Mellow Yellow, Museum, and Sunny South Kensington. And here we get Donovan being really cool, you know, super cool and jazzy. And there's like drawings of like naked chicks on the back, so it's always a plus. Here's George Harrison's Wonderwall from 1968. I think this is a repress from the 70s. Really kind of a weird record. Some of it sounds like Revolver outtakes with like rock band arrangements and limited vocals, and some of it's just like kind of sitar drone raga stuff. So I'm still kind of figuring this one out, and yeah, it's pretty neat. It's experimental. I like experimental. It was made by one of the Beatles while they were in the Beatles, and this might be the first solo album from a Beatle, something like that. So now we're going to switch gears and head to the next store. Still in West Palm Beach, we're going to Rust and Wax. I went there in June and July, so this is from my June visit. And you know what? I'm going to start with this one because this one surprised me the most. This is a band called Shadow Band. It came out in 2017. It's kind of like psychedelic folk, freak folk. Kind of reminds me a little of Six Organs of Admittance. And there's like no information about this band online. But yeah, it's definitely cool freak folk, and you know, for $12, I figured I would take a chance on it. Pretty cool artwork. I put all my stuff in these little sleeves, and yeah, I don't know, that one really surprised me. So sometimes impulse purchases can pay off. Odyssey and Oracle on Big Beat with the original cover album. I have the 1969 date version with the alternate cover album, where it basically just zooms in on this guy here. And yeah, they call it a mid-2000s UK pressing. This is the stereo. Sounds pretty good to my ears, and for like 20-something bucks, can't beat it, because, you know, old copies go for like $200. By the way, I paid $4 for my 1969 copy, but it has deep gashes on my two favorite songs, which are Beachwood Park and Brief Candles, and those are like the quietest songs on the album. Ornette Coleman, Shape of Jazz to Come, some free jazz, crazy saxophone, skronky stuff. This is a reissue, 180 gram. Pretty cool record. I heard about this one in an interview with the Clientele, one of my favorite bands, and they said they were listening to this. So I've been hunting this down for like over a decade, and I finally found it. Rolling Stones now. I've only ever had stereo copies, but as you can see, this is a mono copy with that burgundy label, which means it's a first press. And early Rolling Stones sounds so much better in mono. Love the early Stones. The Brian Jones era is really great. I think someone commented on one of these other videos not that long ago saying they saw the Stones during the Brian Jones era and said Brian Jones as a musician was like way, way ahead of the other guys, and he just kind of played circles around everybody. I totally believe it. Brian Jones ended up living kind of a troubled life and got kicked out of the Stones and then drowned in his pool or something like that. Anyway, love this album, love the early Stones. The Wall of Voodoo, man. This is like late 70s, early 80s, like new wave. Kind of gets as weird as B-52s and Devo. It's kind of psychedelic, kind of trippy and dreamy, full of like cool keyboards. I love this art on here. Ended up streaming this like 3 times the night that I discovered that, and then within a month or so, I was able to find it at Rust and Wax, and I'm glad that I did on the IRS label. Chuck Berry, The Great 28. This is a double record set, and again, I recently got some gatefold sleeves, which is cool. Chuck Berry's one of the great American songwriters. Kind of had a little troubled personal life, but hey, was a very intelligent writer, very good at writing the lyrics. And I've always had this theory that John Lennon was more influenced by Chuck Berry, and McCartney was more influenced by Little Richard. Anyway, I've had this on CD for a long time, was glad to finally get it on vinyl. And then this one called Surf Beat by the Challengers. This was a reissue from Record Store Day, Black Friday 2024. I initially got this in April at Rust and Wax, but the brand new record had a chip in it. So I brought it back and they exchanged the copy. Thankfully, they had another copy for me, and this one doesn't have any chips in it, so yay, awesome. And then, miraculously, I made it back to Rust and Wax in West Palm Beach in July 2024. 2025, what am I talking about? I made it back to Rust and Wax in July 2025. Here's what I found. Going all the way with the Squires. This is a great 60s garage comp on the wonderful Crypt Records, who put out Get Back from the Grave. I just want to read you this hype sticker here. And it says, "Hey, here's a hot new LP by the #1 60s garage cult group ever, the Squires. Included both sides of their rare 45. Plus 9 more great songs, the ultimate in garage folk punk. If you're going to buy one 60s reissue, buy this one, assholes," says Jeff Connolly of Liars. Anyway, the liner notes on this are incredible, as is the music. And talking about incredible music, here's Jimi Hendrix. This is a double LP of him on BBC Radio 1. I believe this was issued in the 80s, possibly even in the UK. But anyway, he does Day Tripper and some other cool stuff there. And hey, look, I practiced some restraint on my second trip to Rust and Wax and only got 4 records there. So now, we're back home to my hometown store of Sounds Good Music, which is in Port St. Lucie, and it's only 5 minutes from my house, which is a blessing and a curse. It's dangerous. I love that place, love those guys. They even got some new stickers recently, so if you stop in, they might give you some of those. Here's a 45 I've been looking for. Maybe it's kind of hard to see. There's a band called The Shadows of Night. They were a Chicago garage band, and this is one of their later songs called Shake. It's actually on this side. Great riff. It kind of has that sort of Black is Black kind of riff. Very danceable, groovy guitar song. And here's the Beta Band's 3 EPs. Man, I've been looking for this one for a long time. It was reissued in 2025, and I had them order this for me. Now, there's a little bit of issue with this, with the vinyls being warped, especially the second disc. But I brought it back, and they put it in their record flattener for me. And yeah, now it sounds great. And I'd say if you like Beck's Odelay, this might be up your alley. Here's a fun one, a psych record from 69, 70, something like that, called Pookah. Kind of a creepy cover of clay and faces and hands, whatever. There's lyrics in here, and yeah, it's pretty cool, like garage fuzz record. There's maybe one song on side 2 that brings the album down a little bit and makes it a little too proggy or something, but the rest is pretty cool, like fuzz prog. My second spin, I liked it a lot more, so I'm gonna have to play that one some more. Here's one called Sweetwater, late 60s Los Angeles, I think. There's no guitars on this album, but there's some pretty impressive keyboards, nice vocals, and some badass flute solos. So it's pretty psychedelic and pretty cool. Oh yeah, Beachwood Sparks, Across the River of Stars. This one came out in 2024, and I never ordered it online, and thankfully my local shop had a copy in 2025, about a year after its release. This one is on blue vinyl. Yay, blue colored vinyl, always fun. Love the Beachwood Sparks, especially their early stuff. They've mellowed out a little bit over the years. And I know it sounds so cliche, but I streamed this album a couple times and I was just kind of like, yeah, it's okay. I was kind of a little ho-hum about it, but now that I've got it on vinyl, I'm just like, you know what? This thing sounds way, way better on vinyl. it hits different on vinyl, as the cliche goes, but it was a lot more enjoyable. Another great jazz record. This is John Coltrane's Giant Steps. Came out in like 1960 or something. This is the 2003 180 gram reissue. Great early jazz. Coltrane, one of the all-time great sax players. And with the passing of Brian Wilson, man, that was a big one this summer. Even though I already have 2 mono copies from 1966 of Pet Sounds, their original first presses, and they're in pretty good shape, but they still have some noise on it. I couldn't help but pass up this 2008 180 gram mono reissue, and this thing sounds fantastic. And what's so great about this one is it doesn't have any scratches on it. I can just listen to it all the way through, so it's a very clean sounding record, and somebody recommended this version to me, and I'm glad that I found it. Back to the blues, man. This is where it all began, man. Don't you love yourself some blues? I know I do. I especially like Delta blues. I don't like that, as Jack White calls, the white guy Stratocaster blues. Yeah, you can mostly skip that stuff, but this is a real deal. King of the slide guitar, Elmore James. And if you remember on the Beatles song, George Harrison's song from Let It Be, For You Blue, he plays slide on there, and he says something like, Elmore James got nothing on me. So that's who he was talking about. How often do the Beatles give you a shout out? Elmore James got one of the few. Here's a Bob Mosley record. This one kind of surprised me. By the look of it, I'm like, this must be some like 70s folk crap or something. No, it turns out Bob Mosley was in a band called Moby Grape, one of the original San Fran psych bands. And this one's from the early 70s, pretty cool. I haven't listened to it all the way through, but I sampled it at their listening station. And of course, everything can sound good for 30 seconds, but does it sound good for 30 minutes? I guess we'll find out. Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, Lick My Decals Off, Baby. I think this one came out right after Trout Mask Replica. This is the 2011 reissue. I tried to put this on one day, and it was a little bit too avant-garde for my mood that day. Sometimes I like weird experimental stuff like this, but it just wasn't in me that day. But I think one of the lines was, I don't want to just hold your hand, I want to like lick every part of you or something. Really weird stuff, but hey, sometimes you need a little palate cleanser like that. And here's an obscuro psych number from 1969 or something. Smubbs, S-M-U-B-B-S. This is The End of the Night. What struck me about this is that they're kind of like a psyche prog band, but they have Fender guitars like single coil Telecasters and Fender Mustang. By this point, most of the heavy guitar bands of the late 60s were using Gibsons and humbuckers, and they just sound a little bit muddy, but this sounds pretty clean. A lot of the songs on here kind of had religious overtones or something. It's a little bit weird lyrically. They were on the Monument label, which Dolly Parton was on, and Roy Orbison. A little bit more of a country label, but there's really not a lot of information about this band. But it's a decent little record. Is it going to be a long-term keeper? I don't know. Probably have to give another spin. Then the Boomtown Rats' first album, self-titled, from 1977. It was a little bit more punk than I thought it would be, but upon trying to listen to it again, I didn't like it as much, so I don't know if that's going to be a keeper. And then Lou Reed's Street Hassle. Now, Lou Reed is good for about one good song per album. Transformer was awesome all the way through. Love the Velvet Underground. His solo stuff, it's a little weird. I Want to Be Black is the one song I kind of like on here. The rest, I don't know. I may not keep this one. It's not really hitting me. And then Joy Division Singles. Man, this one really blew my mind. It's so, I don't know, almost surfy and really punk. It's a lot more rockin' than their first album. And yeah, this is a collection of their early EPs or something. Might be a bootleg, I don't know. And then honorable mention here, I can't remember if it was late May or early June when I went to Wax and Vero and found this Chico Hamilton album. And I love Chico Hamilton for the fact that Gabor Szabo played guitar in his band, and I love Gabor Szabo's guitar playing. As far as my favorite Hungarian jazz guitarists go, he's probably up there. And then I found this Wilco Summerteeth Box Set at Wax Records in Vero Beach. Yeah, this one kind of surprised me. Even though I have the 2024 reissue of this album, this one has demos and outtakes and a live recording. I listened to the outtakes, and it's kind of interesting to see like how Jeff Tweedy writes the core songs, right? And most everything's there. Now the battery's gonna die on me. Good Lord. We're gonna have to take a picture of that, figure out where that stopped. So yeah, this Wilco album box set, it's pretty good. The thing that surprised me the most about this Wilco box set is that there is no lyric sheet in here. I really want to read the genius of Jeff Tweedy's lyrics while I'm listening to this, and my 2024 reissue doesn't come with a lyric sheet, and this box set doesn't come with a lyric sheet. So come on, guys, let me read Tweedy's lyrics. I guess I'll have to bust out my cell phone or something, or find my old CD and read along to the lyrics there. So yeah, some of these I've already spun, and others I need to spin again or still get to. But that's okay. No guilt here, just a little bit of a listening backlog. Did you spot anything here that you know and love? Let me know in the comments, especially if there's something I should bump up in the queue.
Orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange